Fast, not slow, yeah, everybody boom. Coming back around with a zoom, zoom, zoom.
Start it up.
Requires a lot of tasting, which is a tough job.
Fast, not slow, yeah, everybody boom. Coming back around with a zoom, zoom, zoom. Fast, not slow, yeah, everybody boom. Coming back around with a zoom, zoom, zoom.
Red light, green light, go. Everybody know that we run the show. Yeah, we.
Totally in love with my babe.
Yeah. Turn up on the roll. Everybody feeling that we got that flow. Yeah, we. Yeah, we. Yeah.
A wise man once said, started from the bottom, now we're here.
Start it.
The entire family, led by Alan, has played an integral part in creating Silver Belly.
Fast, not slow, yeah, everybody boom. Coming back around with a zoom, zoom, zoom. Fast, not slow, yeah, everybody boom. Coming back around with a zoom, zoom, zoom.
And that is two champions. May we know them and may we beat them.
Fast, not slow, yeah, everybody zoom.
Start it up.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Mia Mastriani and I am here today to welcome you to WSWA's Brand Battle Tournament. This is the alcohol industry's premier pitch competition. This month, we'll be here Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you will see and hear from some of the industry's hottest wine and spirits brands battling it out category by category to compete in the 2023 Brand Battle Championship. This year's championship battle will be held in person for the first time in 4 years in attendance. Those who from the industry in attendance, a panel of expert judges will crown the 2023 Brand Battle Champion. Winners of previous brand battles have earned distribution partnerships and become some of the hottest brands in the U.S. wine and spirits marketplace. Now, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I was one of the founding members of Soho House West Hollywood and have since opened Soho House's locations in Miami Beach and Toronto, training bar staffs on the highest quality of service, implementing proper technique and standards of service, also executing the highest level of cocktails, balance, and was an expert mixologist and am an expert mixologist on Bar Rescue. And for more than 30 episodes and continuing on that show. And these days I stay current by traveling and staying current with the industry, doing multiple shows and following consumer trends by attending a lot of conventions. Opportunity. It's so exciting. So today you'll be hearing from 5 different spirits companies who will spend a few minutes each presenting information about their products. And after each presentation, the judges will have several minutes to ask questions to provide feedback. And that's an amazing opportunity for all of us to ask questions and dial in. I encourage all of you watching to add your own questions and thoughts in the chat box at the bottom of the screen, and we will try to answer all of your questions that come through during the tournament. At the end of today's competition, we will announce our category winner from our judges' votes. The winner of today's tournament will move on to the championship brand battle live on stage in Orlando on April 3rd. So let's get to it. This is very exciting. I'd like to start off our competition by introducing the esteemed panel of judges. that we have with us today. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Together, this group of wholesalers and retailers represent businesses varying in size from across the country and bring over 100 years of combined experience and expertise in the wine and spirits industry. These industry leaders are always looking for the next up and coming brand. First up, welcome our retailer judge, Kevin Bratt, who joins us from the Windy City. Kevin is the National Wine and Spirits Director at Joe's Seafood, Prime Steak and Stone Crab in Chicago, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C., and the Beverage Director for stereotype of sommeliers, aiming to make wine programs fun, approachable, and exciting for guests. Hello and good morning, Kevin. Next up, we are lucky to have Simone Bianchini. We have Italian last names. If I'm murdering yours, you can murder mine. I don't know. You are from RNDC.
Correct.
Simone is the VP of the Artisan Group, also known as TAGS. Simone has been with RNDC for 25 years, where he began as a sales analyst and eventually worked in operations and other leadership roles, including area manager for the Gallo division and division manager for the Brown-Forman division. Most recently, he was the vice president of sales in Kentucky. Simone now leads the Artisan Group, taking RNDC's best business practices across the country to create a consistent craft spirits portfolio strategy that is easy to navigate. Welcome and good morning or good afternoon.
Thank you.
John Oliver is the National Trade Marketing Director for Breakthrough Beverage Group's Trident portfolio, which focuses exclusively on a sweet craft and emerging spirit brands. John works with a variety of craft and emerging suppliers at the point of purchase. He also helps lead the supplier vetting process for potential new spirits brands interested in partnering with Breakthrough across their distribution network. Thank you for being here, John. Next, we are fortunate to be joined by Steve Fetty. From humble beginnings as a bottle flipping bartender at TGI Fridays, he has arisen to become Artistry and Innovation Director for Allied Beverage of New Jersey, where he oversees a dynamic portfolio of artisanal brands, account menu development, and spirits education. Steve has curated and collaborated on menus for over 250 bars and restaurants, and is an award-winning mixologist and certified spirits professional. Welcome, Steve. We now have my cat. And from Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, we have Ray Lombard, who is Executive Vice President and General Manager for Craft Spirits. Mr. Lombard, apologies. Mr. Lombard drives the strategy for Southern Glazers Craft Spirits portfolio. This includes overseeing the company's new craft spirits division across the country and leading all craft spirit sales and customer functions as part of Southern Glazers' new SG Plus enhanced customer service, fine wine, and craft spirits category. Mr. Lombard also manages craft spirits supplier onboarding, contracts management, marketing, and performance. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
I'd also like to recognize Ray as a member of WSWA's Access Craft Advisory Council. Thank you for everyone for participating as judges for today's competition, and I look forward to hearing your feedback for the contenders and their products. So let's get to the part you're all ready to see, our contenders. Today, we are excited to hear from 5 unique companies who were selected to representing a wide variety of new brands. The brands we will hear from today are Soleil Beverage, Muñoz Papa, Terrativo, Skinos, Spirit and Sweet Crude. Now that we know the players, let's get started. Please welcome our first contender of this tournament, Chris Hofbrauer, founder of Soleil Beverage. Chris is a serial entrepreneur who's toured the world as a professional musician and has also run a record label, a publishing company, and an artist management company on both sides of the Atlantic. Now he's curated a new product category.
All right. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if it's my turn now. Okay, all right, I'll go ahead. My name is Chris Hofbauer. I'm the founder of Soleil, which is a juicing with alcohol brand. We have two flavors, Mango Passion, which is mango and passion fruit, and Blueberry, which is our blueberry and pomegranate offering. Essentially, Soleil's pressed fruit, to which we add 12% of alcohol that is distilled sugarcane. Because of this, we're classified as a distilled spirits product, meaning we have to go through all the regulatory sales channels of a distilled spirits product. But what you get in terms of the liquid dough is a little thicker in consistency. It's much more similar to a freshly pressed fruit juice with a hint of alcohol, rather than a strong liquor type product with a little fruit. The one thing we don't add is preservatives. We actually developed a manufacturing method which allows us to extend the shelf life for up to 2 years without the product needing to be refrigerated. So how do you drink it? Obviously, because it's more similar to a fruit juice, you can have it on its own, you can serve it over ice, but it really shines as a modifier. Why? Because Soleil basically it replaces the hand modeling of fruit. So for mixing purposes, there's 3 avenues you can go. One, you can mix with non-alc, and then you get a purposefully light, refreshing, low ABV Sunday afternoon type cocktail. Secondly, it works really nice with any type of sparkling wine. You can really upgrade your mimosas. And thirdly, in a classic cocktailing setup where real fruit is a core ingredient of the recipe, Soleil is the solution because it becomes as convenient, as easy as pouring straight out of the bottle. An ounce, half an ounce, more, whatever the recipe calls for. So on the off-premise, we're being successful with the type of consumer who wants to home cocktail with fresh, better for you, actual modeled fruit as a main ingredient without having to turn the entire kitchen into a mess. There's no need for special tools or special expertise. And on the on-premise, we're being popular because we really make the bar staff's lives easier, especially in a busy setup when we help shorten down the time it takes to make the cocktail. So because Soleil is so super mixable, we love working with other brands. Any base spirit and Soleil, you can make excellent cocktails. So out of this was born our own activation agency. We actually run 2 divisions. We have an internal tasting company where we place Soleil with another brand on the same barrel, which really helps driving down the costs per activation, meaning we can do many more. And then on the on-premise, we actually work with a team of shared sales reps where we use a portfolio approach for a feed in the streets together with our partnering brands. I hope there was no technical issues here. Thank you for the honor to present here, and maybe we can open it up for questions. Thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you, Chris. Now let's bring back our panel of judges for some Q&A. Let's start with Ray Lombard from Southern Glazers. Ray, what are your questions or thoughts?
Yes. In the category that continues to evolve and there's several entrants, how are you going to connect with your consumer, and how are you going to teach your consumer to use Soleil?
So we're really focused on the point of sale where the consumer can actually buy it. So we're doing these extensive tastings programs. That's why we actually set up this activation agency I mentioned. And then on the on-premise, obviously, we love working with bartenders and educating our consumer through bartenders and bar staff.
Thank you, Ray. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Chris, great product. I've been tasting it here, and I like your added addition of Frebel, using it as a modifier. I think this is one of those marks of cordial spirits where it's less sweet, it's not as heavy, it's more acting like a low alcohol base spirit. So I admire you for that. Are you going to be coming out with any additional flavors down the road?
So we have several flavors in the pipeline. Some of them are formula, TTB formula and TTB cola approved. Adding SKUs always adds cost. So initially we wanted to focus on those two SKUs, and then but we do have a strawberry, we have a grapefruit, and we have a blood orange in the pipeline.
Excellent, thank you.
Wow. Kevin, from a retailer perspective, what are your thoughts?
Yes, agree and echo the sentiments of the previous two. The questions that I had, I think you actually touched on this, but I just wanted to reiterate and to make sure I heard clear. Shelf life, you say unrefrigerated is 2 years.
Correct, yes.
Oh, that's incredible. Along the additional line of products, I was wondering if you have any thoughts on making something that's mint based. I know you touched on muddling being a big thing for bartenders. That's time consuming, and mint is usually one of the most challenging. So do you have that in the works by any chance?
We actually played around with our strawberry flavor. We added some mint, which makes something very interesting. Initially, at this stage, we really wanted to focus on flavor profiles that are, for lack of word, as mainstream as possible, so that you can actually include them in a wide variety of occasions.
Nice. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great. Chris, thank you for kicking us off. Now on to our second competitors. We have two representatives from Munyon's Island Spirits, co-founders Paul Massey and Joe Calici. Paul is an industry veteran with expertise in distributor management, on and off premise national accounts, duty-free, and military sales. He began in sales and marketing for Cruzan Rum and was a founding member of Imperial Brands. Joe spent 11 years at Campari America, where he was vice president after starting as one of Imperial Brands' original employees. Welcome to you both. Can everyone hear them?
Let's try it again.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, I'm Joe Calici and this is Paul Massey, and we're bringing Munyon's Paw Paw back. At the turn of the century, this man right here, Dr. James Munyon, was more famous than the President of the United States. Paul and I live in Palm Beach County. Munyon Island isn't far from us. It's part of John D. MacArthur State Park. Very unassuming island. If you went by it on a boat, you wouldn't think much at all, but it's steeped in Florida history. Dr. James Munyon owned Munyon's Homeopathic Remedy Company. He was a pop culture icon, advertising in newspapers nationwide. In 1903, he bought that island, built the Hotel Hygeia, named for the Greek goddess of health, and invited Northerners to come down, revive, rejuvenate, and drink plenty of Munyon's Paw Paw. At this time, he was selling millions of bottles worldwide. It was the crown jewel of his empire. Paul's going to tell you a little bit more about how we're bringing this back.
So 5 years ago, Joe and I were at MacArthur State Park with our families, saw this display of Dr. James Munyon and his famous elixir. Both of us being in the industry for 20 plus years, we know that every great brand has a fascinating backstory. We think ours is second to none. Excited after seeing the display, I headed home and researched Dr. James Munyon on the internet. Very little information was available, so my trail took me to the Historic Society of Palm Beach. There I found a treasure trove worth of information on Dr. James Munyon and his famous elixir, much of which was donated by the gentleman by the name of Ned Heindel. I looked Ned up on the internet, found out he was a professor at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, and reached out to him. Ned let me know he'd been researching the life of Dr. James Munyon for 50 years and was in the process of writing a biography on him. I asked if I could fly up and meet with him as we were looking to bring Munyon's Paw Paw back to life, and he said absolutely. Met with Ned over an afternoon, gave me a transcript of the book, and I mentioned that I had this unopened bottle of the original formulation. His eyes lit up. He said, no one's analyzed this since the early 1900s. Can you please send me a sample? Which I did. We found out, sure enough, it had fermented papaya in it, Nux varnica, which was in several homeopathic medicines at the turn of the century, and even THC. Although today's formula does not have THC in it, it's an homage to the original. 20% alcohol, 14 all-natural ingredients, 4 of which were grown on Munyon Island at the turn of the century. Those include papaya, orange, grapefruit, and hibiscus. It's craft distilled here locally in South Florida.
So 3 points make us unique. First, we're 100% all natural with no artificial flavors, colors, or ingredients. Secondly, we're made here, unlike a lot of the aperitifs which come from Europe. So we like to say we're a new world take on an old world tradition. And lastly, we tell you everything that's in the bottle in a unique way. You can open the bottle, peel or turn the bottle, peel back the label, and all 14 ingredients are listed right here. The price point is $29.99 for a 750, so we hit that coveted super premium category. The product's extremely versatile. It can be enjoyed neat, on the rocks, or in your favorite cocktail. We highly recommend the Munion's Margarita or the Munion's Old Fashioned. We're just now launching in Florida, and the initial feedback has been extremely encouraging. As Paul mentioned, every great brand has a great story, but they also have a great foundation. So what do you get when you take away our unique label? Or you remove our replica custom bottle? Or you just don't have the time to hear that entire story? What you're left with is a unique liquid, unmistakably Munion's Pawpaw, and 2 owners with over 40 years combined experience in the industry and a relentless passion for Dr. James Munion's famous saying and salutation, there is hope. Cheers.
Oh my goodness. Amazing presentation, guys. Let's bring in our panel of judges for some Q&A. Let's start with Ray Lombard from Southern Glazers. Ray, thoughts, feelings, impressions, questions?
Who's your competitive set? Are you trying to define a new brand on its own, or do you have an existing competitive set out there? That's that's part of the question. Then how are you going to apply it on premise from an ounce cost perspective? A lot of times bartenders love modifiers, but how do you make it feasible for the drink cost? That's also a critical point for building modifiers on premise.
So the competitive set, obviously, like any brand, there's the category leaders that you keep your eye on. So those tend to be an Aperol, a Campari, some of the Fernets that are the bartender's handshake and things of that nature. So we know that those guys with limitless budgets have been paving the way for the American palate to kind of get more used to the aperitif. So we play in that aperitif world, and we know that a lot are coming to this market. The one thing we have noticed is many of those are coming from Europe. So we like to play in that unique world, being a domestic product. So in that world, we're also hitting a price point that plays competitively with them and proportionately is in about the same with our proof is in about the same range. When you mentioned the cost per ounce, we're trying to keep that to less than $1 per ounce for the on-premise. So we have some deals where we can make sure that the holy grail and the crown jewel is getting on the menu. So we want to make sure that the on-premise, they're not afraid to play with it in their cocktails and help us with the branding and help us move cases when Paul and Joe aren't there telling everybody the story.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you, Joe and Paul. Next up, we will hear about Tara Tivo from Devon Trevathan, co-founder and co-owner of Libet. Devon has held a variety of jobs related to beverage, alcohol, spirits journalist, brand ambassador, bartender, server, marketing consultant, tour guide.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hey, this is Michael Bolello. I am the Executive Vice President for Marketing and Communications with WSWA. I think we're having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to roll into the show. Simone, we've got some more questions, I believe, on Munion's. Can we go back to Munion's? Simone, you there? Can you hear us?
I'm there. I was waiting for, I just wanted to compliment Joe and Paul on their excellent presentation and interesting product. I'm curious, given that I'm from the South, I know what a pawpaw is. Are you guys having any challenges explaining the origin of the fruit and of your story?
I think they need to unmute again.
Yes. There is hope.
There is hope.
Yeah, thank you. So, you know, we have 14 natural ingredients in there, one of which is papaya. So Florida natives used to call papaya pawpaw. So we have had some questions, well, there's pawpaw in it, but we want to stay true to the original formula where it did have fermented papaya in it. So we've been doing everything we can to communicate that, from the papaya tree on our label to all of our marketing materials saying that it is papaya in the formulation.
Great product. Really enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
I also have a quick question, if you don't mind me jumping in. You answered the question regarding price point, $29 for $7.50. Across the board, I think orange-based liqueur and spirits have been seeing an incredible price increase. Not to name names, but certain ingredients that I'm using are even more expensive than the premium spirit that we're using for cocktails too. So kudos to you guys for coming up with a great mixer and a quality product as well. My question is, I know you mentioned an old fashioned and a margarita, but and I look forward to doing this myself too, but have you tried this as a substitute for Cointreau or Combier or Mathilde or even triple sec in the numerous amount of cocktails that actually call for those?
Yeah, great question. Our distributor here in Florida does not have Cointreau in their portfolio, and they are targeting those Cointreau accounts right out of the gates and having a lot of success. And I did a little research on you. I know you're a Negroni drinker, so try it in Negroni as well. It's a fantastic cocktail.
I look forward to it. Thanks for the recommendation.
Thanks.
All right, let's go to Steve. Steve, what questions do you have for Joe and Paul?
Actually, the two previous before me actually asked both of my questions. Again, really hats off to you guys. Great presentation. I was actually commenting to the judges. I thought it came off a little pithy on the palate, but as I let it sit a little bit, it really kind of reminded me like that aperitif category. So I think you've actually done a great job of kind of creating like a hybrid almost, something that could work in your cosmopolitan, but could also equally work well in, you know, a classic spritz or a Negroni fashion. So cheers to that. I guess my biggest question to you would be is, how are you really planning on creating a culture around this? I mean, obviously it rings true in the South, but, you know, up here in New Jersey, I don't know a single person who knows what a pawpaw is.
So yeah, I came from New Jersey, so I know that at least some New Jerseyan that's removed to Florida can adapt. But one of the things we're trying to do as far as the culture and what we're associating with the brand, we mentioned at the tail end that Dr. James Munion's famous saying, "There is hope." It was part of where he was in all his advertisements, finger in the air. And he had what's called the Hope Association, which was his at the time, CRM. People would write in and he would give them advice and things like that of that nature. And we've revived the Hope Association. We communicate with our customers every month when they join our Munion's Hope Association, where we're reaching out to them, giving them cocktail ideas, really also resonating around a culture of communication and hope and resilience that we think is going to resonate around a time coming out of COVID where people are really trying to connect again in person. And so that's sort of how we're building that culture. With that, the avenue is going to be the product.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
All righty, I think that sums it up for Joe and Paul. Great job. Next up, we'll hear from Terrativo, Devin Trevathan, co-founder and co-owner of Liba Spirits. Liba Spirits is a nomadic distilling company. Devin has held a variety of jobs related to the beverage alcohol spirits industry. He's been a journalist, a brand ambassador, a bartender, a server, marketing consultant, tour guide, wine retail manager, and now the co-founder of a unique and ambitious distilling company in which she and her business partner, Colton Weinstein, travel all over the globe, renting space in different distilleries to distill their own spirits using regional ingredients and practices. Welcome, Devin.
Hi, thank you so much for having me and for that intro. Yes, my name is Devin Trevathan. I'm the co-founder and co-owner of Liba Spirits, which is a nomadic distilling company. And that just basically means that my business partner and I travel all over the world. we rent space in existing distilleries that belong to somebody else, but we distill all of our own spirits from conception to finalization. And we do so with the intention of making spirits that have a sense of place or a sense of terroir, because we always felt that place was important to the distilling industry, but it wasn't quite as palpable in a spirit. You couldn't necessarily always taste the sense of terroir, and we really wanted to focus on that. Terrativo is the third product that we have made for this in our company, in our portfolio, Liba Spirits. And I think it's a pretty perfect culmination of everything that we've learned. It is a terroir-inspired aperitivo. So there's the Terrativo of it. And our first is Terrativo Tennessee, which we are distilling, currently still in production in Nashville, Tennessee. We are making the base, a bourbon base ourselves, distilling it at a facility just outside Nashville. And then we are infusing it with ingredients that we feel are reflective of Nashville, a place that my business partner and I actually, it's where we met and worked together for many years. So we really loved the concept. I particularly love the concept of the aperitivo hour. When I first started to travel on my own, I lived in Italy for a semester in college, and that was the first time I got to experience aperitivo. And it was just a really special thing that everybody basically took part in, to gather, to catch up with friends, with family, to take a moment to reflect on the day, to appreciate the day. And I think that it's culturally something that everyone all over the world can identify with, a desire to just spend time with people that you care about and share, you know, a beverage and take a minute to decompress. And like some of the other presenters have said, there are a lot of aperitifs or aperitivos that come from Europe, and there are more and more being made domestically now. But I hadn't really felt like many people had taken the concept of aperitivo and made it very connected to the country, the domestic market, and our like domestic country, a place here. A lot of people who are doing amazing work are recreating very similar kind of Italian style aperitifs, but our product is uniquely American, I would say, and unique to Tennessee. Bourbon as the base, you know, bourbon or Tennessee whiskey, corn-based whiskeys are kind of essential to Tennessee. And we just thought it'd be a really interesting concept to be able to take a flavorful base spirit that is the iconic spirit or category to a place, and then build on that, but keeping flavor from that source. And that is what we've done. We've infused the bourbon with sour cherry and dried orange peel and rhubarb, gentian, lovage root, cinchona bark, a variety of ingredients. And then we've sweetened it with a sorghum syrup, which sorghum is a very it's a classic agricultural product to Tennessee in the South. And I think that one of the most exciting things about this product is the way that I've taken it out to bartenders and had people taste it, and they just immediately feel like it is reminding them of Nashville, of Tennessee. There's something so intricately linked between smell and memory. And I think that the products that we make really tap into that. So far with all the products we've produced, we've had a lot of success with our on-premise approach. You know, Colton, my business partner, Colton and I are both industry veterans, working in the distilling industry now for a combined 18 years. And I personally have a lot of experience in hospitality and as a bartender. And I think that the spirits we make are uniquely bartenders spirits, and particularly with our most recent, with Terrativo Tennessee, we've worked very hard to make it accessible to bartenders, getting the cost down to less than $1 an ounce, because we want this to be a utilitarian spirit for bartenders who want to have that bitter liqueur flavor that is recognizable, but it has a unique profile built around it with the bourbon, and it's not quite as bitter as like a Campari or an Aperol. And I think that there's a huge market for spirits drinkers who are curious about this kind of product, but maybe aren't ready for something quite as bitter as the existing other examples that would belong in this category. So I'm very excited. It's very early days for us, but I think there's a really great future ahead, and we do have plans to take this same model concept where we are going to distill a flavorful base spirit and infuse it with local regional ingredients. And our sights are set on doing something with agave in Mexico next.
That's great. Devin, thank you so much for that story. Really appreciate the presentation. Let's bring our judges back and let's first go to Ray. Ray, I know we start with you all the time, so let's kick it off with you.
So love the nomadic concept, and it's a different story to tell. And it's, you're sourcing the best geographies and ingredients and so forth. With that said, have you factored in scalability and liquid continuity?
Yes. So for both my business partner and I, that was extremely important from the start. So we're very mindful of who we work with. Our intention is always to work in a distillery that's run by somebody who makes products that if we don't outright like them, we very much respect their process and their abilities. So for instance, our first product, a gin that we made in Southern Austria in the Alps, the only problem with scalability or with being able to distill more product is we use a fresh Italian lemon and orange that is seasonal. And I think in that way, with us using the concept of terroir, I think people are going to be a little bit more accepting of that limitation, but overall it's very small, and we're very mindful of being able to produce more.
Okay, well, thank you, Ray. Any follow-ups to that? All righty, let's go to John. John, questions?
Sorry, go ahead, John.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Devin, definitely leaning into the terroir factor on the flavor profile here. I mean, it packs a punch. So I guess, you had mentioned briefly, and I was wondering if you could kind of go into a bit more of how you plan to really kind of scale this portfolio. You're talking about finding a very niche product in a small area of the country, but what are your plans? Are you looking to make each one just a regional brand, or really make each SKU something national? What's the 1, 3, 5 year plan of that?
Yeah, our goal is very much to become a national brand, particularly with the Terrativo series. I think that it's a niche product, but I think that it is something that can really appeal to a wide audience. My approach so far has been extremely focused on boots on the ground and using the on-premise, and that is going to just be more so the case as we move forward, because we are bringing the price point down to less than $1 ounce and really trying to make this a spirit that bartenders want to use in cocktails. And I think that the utility of it in a cocktail is pretty unmatched. I mean, it's going to be the perfect aperitif, in my opinion, to use in a Boulevardier because of the bourbon character. But I also think that it can make a gorgeous spritz. It can make an amazing Americano. It could really pair beautifully in a Negroni if the gin had a little bit of grain character or base character. And I think that people naturally are very interested in the story. I will say we focus very much, or the sales structure is really built around me spending time in market, and that will be something that we have to make the most out of as things grow, and my time is a little bit more limited, but the story is just a pretty new and pretty unique story that people respond to, and we have a really strong social media presence built around it. And I think that there's kind of endless things that we can do so that by year 3, it's not inconceivable that we'll be in 25 plus states in my mind, and in other countries as well.
Okay. Simone, let's go to you.
Thank you, Michael and Devin. Great presentation and a super interesting concept. I love the idea, and I assume you've got a great pipeline of ideas on where you want to take it. I guess it doesn't sound to me like you're married to any single category. You've played with gin or gin base, and now the project in Nashville is going a different direction. I'm real interested on what you produce out of Mexico. I assume it'll be something agave based. All of these are going to be uniquely yours and your partners. Are you looking at collaborations as well with, I assume you're using distilleries that already have existing products. Have you thought along the lines of collaboration? And then do you see yourself pivoting into any categories other than spirits, wine or malt as well?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate those kind of words. We are, as far as category is concerned, we made a gin and then we made a rum, but we will be pretty committed to liqueurs moving forward. Sorry, my dog is barking. And particularly bitter liqueurs, and possibly a couple of variations, but it's really the liqueur model that fits us best, since we can make the base spirit and we can make something, we can still distill from our starch or sugar source, but then we can use our ability to be able to infuse post distillation or steep. And I think that is our best qualities and our best skill set. We don't like to put too much pressure on the distillers that are running the facilities that we work out of. So in that sense, we don't even really consider it a collaboration. Of course, this industry, to me and to my business partner, is full of people that we love and respect. So a lot of it is us, welcoming them and their opinions into our process. But at the end of the day, we are the ones who are responsible for the production and then sales. And so I don't necessarily think of them as a collaborator, though I obviously would not completely discount that idea in the future. I think that kind of what we would like to play around with is maybe working with winemakers or a winemaker in the future on something like a vermouth that really combines wine and spirits, since terroir is a strong part of our business and it's such a big part of wine.
We have time for one more question. Let's go to Kevin.
All right, I'll keep it quick because I think you answered all the questions that I had before, but it'd be more of a statement than anything. What a cool story, the nomadic venture. I hope you're documenting it, because it would make a great documentary at some point, because this is something that I've never heard of before. I guess my other question would be, what are your average production sizes? Like, how many cases are you making? And then I know with the sample bottles that we received are probably not to scale. How are the bottles, how's the product usually packaged?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm always trying to document more. So we are currently making, we made 259 liter cases of our first product. And then we made about 450 of our second product. And we're going to be making around 509 liter cases of the first Terrativo Tennessee run. We're keeping it smaller, but we have plans to scale up production. And particularly with Terrativo Tennessee, the distillery where we are distilling it is being managed currently by my business partner. He is a consultant for a distillery there, and he's been running that facility for the last year. So we really have free reign with that particular facility and this particular product. The packaging, so we are still very early on in this product, but I was really excited to get it out to the world. And so I think maybe prematurely put it in here, but I'm happy that I got the chance to tell you about it. It's very similar to this bottle, which is a bottle of our rum. It's a 750 milliliter bottle. Packaged. We have a wraparound label, which always features a piece of art from an artist who is, active and local to whatever place that we are producing. And then we have a bit of the story on the back. The first Terrativo release will have a secondary label that says the name Terrativo, very big on the front too. So yeah, it's going to be a slightly different package, but the sample bottles that you received does feature the artwork that's going to be on the label of the iconic Batman building, which should be familiar to anybody who's visited Tennessee or Nashville, since it is right smack dab in the skyline.
All right, Devin, I think that wraps up for you. Thank you so much for the presentation. We really appreciate it and wish you the best of luck. We're going to do a final call for Dimitri. I don't believe Dimitri is here. So we're going to move on to our final contestant. We've got Arthur Wiedner. Arthur is an engineer who has worked for Boeing, Cargill, General Electric, and other global corporations. He's a staff engineer in the U.S. Air Force Reserve. Thank you for your service. And he is deployed several times around the globe. Arthur is engineering the market to distribute his family's 100-year-old recipe known as North Dakota Sweet Crude. Arthur, please tell us about your brand.
Can you hear me?
You can hear you, Arthur. Thank you.
Perfect. Hello to you all, and thank you for inviting us to the brand battle competition this year. I'm Art Wiedner, founder of Crude Spirits and creator of our brands North Dakota Sweet Crude and Sweet Crude Orange. Our spirits, as he said, come from a 100-year-old family recipe that great-grandpa Martin Wiedner was making in his smokehouse on his farm near Zap, North Dakota. We utilize local ingredients to the greatest extent possible still today. Corn for alcohol production is grown on our farmland, as are sugar beets for the white sugar that we then caramelize on our own customized equipment. Some of our herbal tea ingredients are grown by our Uncle Hilmer, and some are sourced directly from India. North Dakota Sweet Crude is an ultra smooth cinnamon liqueur with lingering notes of ginger, lemongrass, and citrus. And Sweet Crude Orange is a citrus liqueur with a hint of cinnamon and cardamom. People love the quality of our products, the flavor, the feel, the aroma, the color, the lack of alcohol burn, even though they are 75 proof. When we sample our products, we average approximately 25% conversion of people sampling to bottle purchases. Our customers cut across all demographics, and many are very enthusiastic supporters going to great exertion to obtain bottles from our currently limited distribution footprint. We currently only offer 750 milliliter bottles, but have intent to offer 50 milliliter packaging soon. Our bottles currently come with neck tag recipe cards that include our website address, and soon our labeling will incorporate the recipes and a QR code to take customers directly to the recipe page of our website to eliminate these neck tags. Our marketing materials include recipe menus, shelf cards, and table tents with QR codes that land on the recipe page of our website, where customers will find more than 70 different drink recipes that have largely been submitted by consumers and on-premise accounts. We have giveaways, and we utilize many different forms of advertising media that include social media, radio, TV, billboard, online banner ads, geofencing, magazine, newspaper, and venue banners. We have sponsored local sports teams, musicians, racing cars, and racing boats. We utilize samplings heavily in our marketing strategy. In our experience, nothing will get a person to purchase a $25 to $30 bottle of liqueur as successfully or efficiently as experiencing our product on their palate. We sample it on-premise and off-premise accounts and at numerous special event venues around the region. We also visit our distributors regularly and meet with their sales force to provide insight into products and share winning sales strategies. We enjoy partnering with our distributors at their preferred local events like fishing or golf tournaments, fundraisers, Chamber of Commerce events. Either the owners attend or one of our contracted samplers that we personally know and have trained with our products, materials, and equipment will go. We are currently distributed in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota through a network of Anheuser-Busch distributors. We are looking to expand to the neighboring states of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Nebraska in the near term, and also to states where we have been getting a lot of online requests and sales, such as Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, and California. Our sales team provides support to our distributors in their territory, and we look forward to adding to that sales force as we expand. Crude spirits, enjoy them neat, on the rocks or mixed, but always in good company.
All right, well, thank you very much, Art Wiedner. Really appreciate the presentation. Let's bring back our panel of judges. Simone, do you have any questions for Art?
Art, great presentation, and thank you for sharing your baby with us. You said that it was an old family recipe. I was curious a little bit more about the origin of that, and then if you could also, what do you find the most successful way to sample the product? You said you have a very high conversion rate. How is that served when you're doing it in a retailer or on premise? Is it neat? Is it rocks? Is it in a cocktail?
So the origin of the product, great grandpa Martin, German immigrant into North Dakota shortly after we obtained statehood, and North Dakota was entered into the Union as a dry state in 1889 and remained dry until 1934. So 45 years dryness. You're not going to tell a bunch of Eastern European immigrants that they can't have a drink at the end of the day. And they can't really drive anywhere because cars aren't available. So everybody's making their own. And these took on the names of like Red Eye, Apple Pie, Wedding Whiskey, things of that nature. So a lot of families had these versions of their own alcoholic beverage. And ours just seemed to stick around. And it was passed down through the generations, truer to form than most. And as we started handing it out here recently, people just kept asking for more and more of it. And my brother and I decided that we probably needed to share this with a larger audience. So we started to figure out how we could bring this into commercial production. And then, I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
The most common way, how do you sample it when you're doing tasting events, and what's the most common way it's enjoyed?
So, me personally, I enjoy North Dakota Sweet Crude on crushed ice. I keep my bottle in the freezer. My sister likes to enjoy the Sweet Crude Orange the same way. However, they both mix very well. Sweet Crude Orange is meant to be like a replacement for Grand Marnier or Control, that level of quality, just a lower price and locally made to the upper Midwest. And then when we sample out, we tend to be much more of a familial hospitality type of sampling. We bring people in, we sample out both products chilled, straight, but then we also have at least one mixed cocktail that we have with each of the two varieties. A lot of times we'll be sampling the Dakota Mule or the Orange Crush. This time of year up in the upper Midwest, we'll be putting the North Dakota Sweet Crude into hot chocolate.
Great, thank you.
All right, John, any questions for Art?
Sure. First, Art, I think you win the award for best background amongst anybody on this call. So I'm just going to say that. But yeah, there's a lot going on here in this bottle, right? You've got a lot of cinnamon, you have the orange base. Where does this bottle sit on the shelf? What are the brands that are next to it? What do you view as the competitive set?
Well, whenever anybody in the industry talks about cinnamon, they're always trying to compare us to Fireball. However, this is not a whiskey. There's none of those bitter tannins that you have with the whiskey brands. We find it in our local stores that we're in 3 or 4 different placements. We'll be over in the cordial section, next to the Grand Marnier and Control with the Sweet Crude Orange. We'll be down near the schnapps with the North Dakota Sweet Crude. We'll be on the whiskey section next to the Fireball or any of the other cinnamon whiskeys. So really, it depends on the store management where they feel like they want to place us. But we're comfortable in any of those directions. It is a 75 proof liqueur. It's certainly a good, honest drink, but it mixes very well. And so it's great to have in the cordial section too.
Great, thank you.
All righty, let's go to Kevin.
Kudos to your design and marketing team. I think the packaging on the bottle is great, and all the material that you had that you sent over is really forward thinking. So you guys are doing a really good job on that side. John actually just asked my question, and I guess the only other question I would have, actually got a couple of them. It's not a whiskey base, you said, so is it just a neutral grain spirit base that you guys use for production of the product?
It is. We're producing it from local corn.
Excellent. And I guess as I'm trying to, in my mind, determine who your target audience might be, I know Fireball was obviously the first thing that came to mind. I was curious to see if this is kind of going after what I think Tin Cup did with their marketing promotion, kind of hunters and hikers and things like that, a good spirit to have along with you while you're on your journey. Is that what you guys are going for, or is there some other audience that you're trying to market this to?
Well, certainly here in the upper Midwest, that is kind of the marketing theme, is to, pass the bottle around the fire pit at the end of the day. It's certainly something that should be on the bookshelf at anybody's ice house when they're out ice fishing. That type of get together with family and friends is a great opportunity to break open a bottle.
Thanks, Art. Steve, we have time for one more question. Let's go to you.
Yeah, great presentation and tasty juice. I guess my question really here is, I'm coming from New Jersey, so I understand the Midwest, upper Midwest might really jump on top of this North Dakota local. But as you move away from North Dakota, that locality aspect really shrinks. It doesn't really have much of an influence on a buyer's decisions. So I guess my question is two-part. One, how do you plan on kind of relating this to like an Eastern market or a metropolitan market? And question number two is, I heard a lot about the off-premise. How are you getting this into bartenders' hands outside of the Midwest?
So I do a lot of samplings actually at on-premise locations. We'll go in and introduce the product along with the bartending team. We'll do more than just one night at a location or at multiple locations of the same brand of bar or restaurant. The way that we really introduce it to the bartenders is to show them the list of 70 different cocktails that are already out there, and they run the gamut from a simple mixer to caramelizing the whipped egg whites on top of the ginger sap. So there's a whole realm that people can do with this. As far as the North Dakota portion of the North Dakota Sweet Crude, what we found, especially like when we go down to Southern California or into Arizona, people have a lot of familial ties, friendly ties back to the upper Midwest. A lot of, our greatest export in North Dakota is our people. They tend to move away. And so everybody sees kind of North Dakota as the underdog. And so it's a great way to be introduced to people as they remember. Oh yeah, Joe, he was from up in that area.
Excellent, thank you.
Alrighty, Art, excellent job. Thanks again for your time. And thanks for the sunshine in your background. We appreciate that, especially for those of us who are under clouds right now. This is now the time when we will send the judges away to deliberate, and they have the really daunting task of deliberating on this category's winner and who will move on to the championship round on the live stage at Access Live, April 3rd in Orlando, Florida. But while our judges are deliberating, we're going to share some important and relevant category information coming to us from SipSource. Details about Access Craft as well as Access Live. So please do not go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Aloha, everyone. We're excited for you to join us at the WSWA's Access Live in Orlando this April and to celebrate the wine and spirits industry. We hope you'll join me and Blaine in April. We're excited to launch our handcrafted vodka Melee, a sustainable brand built with our planet in mind and made of the purest natural ingredients from Montana. Okay, aloha. See you soon.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that message from our keynote speaker, Jason Momoa, who will be at Access Live in Orlando. And I am just getting a note back from the judges. They have determined that today's category winner, who's moving on to the live stage at Access Live in Orlando, Florida, Money Pawpaw. Munion's Pawpaw. Joe and Paul, congratulations. I missed the drum roll. Well done. Well deserved. Great presentation. You're moving on to Orlando. Tell us how you feel.
Incredibly grateful, extremely humbled because of the competition, all these great brands here, and very excited about joining the group in Orlando.
Yeah, it's been 5 years in the making, and to get the brand out there just last month and then be able to be in the finals, awesome feeling. So thanks to all the judges. We'll see you in April.
There is hope. I love it.
There is hope.
We look forward to seeing everybody at the next tournament. So that's next Tuesday, February 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. That is the Red Hot RTD and Hard Seltzer tournament. Please join us. Also, yes, and by the way, gentlemen from Munyon Pawpaw, we've got our media interview that takes place just after the event. So thank you again today, everyone. Congratulations again, Munyon's Pawpaw. Well done. Thank you to all our contestants, judges, and WSWA members. Have a great day.
Thanks.